Members of the J Area, ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, welcome back to another edition of the J Area Wrestling Show. It's an early edition here on stream talking about the big topic at hand. Obviously, if you guys have been living under a rock and you don't know what's going on in the world of wrestling, you would be unaware that next Tuesday, this upcoming NXT, will have NXT versus TNA. For the first time ever, a full-on event dedicated to total nonstop action versus NXT. I've been looking forward to this event ever since we've been having this invasion. They don't want you to say the word invasion apparently, but ever since we had NXT and TNA crossover with one another. I don't care that they're calling it Showdown, TNA NXT Showdown. To me, it is still invasion. I will be referring to it as invasion on stream and definitely here on YouTube. I hope that you guys are enjoying your week. I hope that you are looking forward to this stream and to the NXT versus TNA event as much as I am. And with that being said, on today's video, in today's stream, we will be creating and booking our own TNA versus WWE super event. Now, keep in mind, when I think of TNA, I'm thinking at its peak. I'm thinking from the years of 2007 to maybe late 2009. To me, that was when Total Nonstop Action was at its peak. It had a roster of legends, up-and-coming stars, and a lot of stars that you might recognize here today. And in contrast with that, I look at the WWE's roster during the same period of 2007 to 2009. So this event will be dedicated to about that time period in pro wrestling history. If you guys are interested in another super event that is TNA versus WWE, maybe from a different timeline, you let me know in the comments below. But for today's video, I will be tackling TNA versus WWE from that 2007 and 2009 event. When I was looking through the rosters of both TNA and WWE, it was a lot of dream matches. Some matches that have already transpired, whether it was in TNA or in the WWE. So for me, I was looking at it from a standpoint of what haven't we seen? What haven't we seen in TNA versus WWE? And also, what would make for a compelling match and a compelling story? So a lot of these matches are going to be either first time evers or never been done to this extent. I could not restrict it to just one night, being that a show like WrestleMania has to have 2 nights, SummerSlam has to have 2 nights. I said, you know what? How often are we going to be doing a super event TNA versus WWE? Let's do 2 nights. So over the span of 2 nights, I have constructed 13, the magic number 13 matches that pit TNA's legends versus the WWE's legends. Before we jump in to the dream matches, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with all things professional wrestling. If you guys are as big as pro wrestling fans as I am, consider becoming a member of the J Area and joining us for the special live streams that we have on Monday and Thursday, as well as the monthly uploads. With this month's upload, a little surprise, but a little dark side of the ring, and it'll be New Jack this time around. So hopefully you guys will see that video come the 15th. I see Muhammad in the chat. Muhammad says, hi and good evening. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday to you, my friend. I'm glad that you're here joining us on this TNA versus WWE stream. Hopefully you're doing well. Muhammad says that his thoughts and prayers are going out to former WWE superstar Ahmed Johnson, who was involved in an accident. I wasn't even aware of that. Ahmed Johnson, who very popular in the new generation era and a little bit of the early attitude era as well. So I wasn't aware of that. Again, thoughts and prayers to Ahmed Johnson. Again, anyone that's a part of the wrestling business, of course, my heart goes out to them, and hopefully they're doing well. Gianna Forever, been a member for 3 months here. The Main Event Mafia, of course, if you're the Main Event Mafia, you get access to other videos, posts, polls, and exclusive content that not everybody has access to. And shout out to Gianna Forever as well. It says, much love, bro. I appreciate it. I really do. I mean, the support that you guys have sent towards the channel has been immense. It is not only gratifying, it is uplifting, and it is sure as hell motivating to see the love and the support that is sent our way here, knowing that there are people who are just as invested not only in pro wrestling, right, but in the channel as much as I am. It goes without saying that it would not be possible without people like you. So I appreciate all love. We're trying something new with this stream here, a super event that we're booking, fantasy booking, and I'm hoping that you guys like it. I will also be editing it and uploading it as a video itself as well for some people who might not be able to join us on the live stream, because I understand it's a little bit of an earlier start time for some people. I tried to let people know on the previous live stream that, hey, we're going to go live a little bit earlier on Thursday. So if you're here with us today, thank you so much. All love. And if you're not and you're watching this at a later time, this is the past me talking to future you. What's going on? Thanks for joining us here in today's video. I see Gianna Forever says your camera's freezing up. I appreciate the heads up. We're going to try to refresh it here. Bear with us here. I appreciate the shout out by Gianna Forever. They're letting us know about the connection. I'm currently working on it, trying to refresh the connection and get the camera working better.
Here's what you gotta do. Do you want to mute or? What's up, technicians here? The wizard.
The tech wizard's here. The technician.
Yeah.
Jumped in real quick. I'm gonna give it a second here to see if the connection's a little bit better. Let me know on your guys' end.
Yeah, I'm checking on my phone right now. Everything's working smoother now.
Yeah. Gianna Forever said no sound, but that must have been when I had it on mute.
Oh, yeah, no, we had to mute it for a second so I could talk to him about what was going on.
Okay, so he's good. We haven't even started the event, but hey, if we're gonna have technical difficulties, man, let's get that out of the way early on.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the Niners with all the injuries, get it out of the way early.
Yeah. Speaking about the Niners, I know it's random, but do you actually like my jersey? It's a little bit of a throwback.
We can't see it, pal.
Oh, you can't see it. But I mean, it's a Reebok Alex Smith jersey.
Alex Smith, that's right. Yeah. Shout out to Alex Smith, former Niner.
Yeah, this is almost 20 years old.
Ridiculous, man.
But it's in really good condition. So.
Well, I appreciate the help. Hey, shout out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Shout out. Appreciate it. Real quick, what's a...
Say hi.
Okay.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say, what's a dream match of yours for TNA NXT? Or TNA WWE?
Ooh. So, honestly, which WWE are we talking about? Like, at the time? Like...
So, for this event, I'm strictly going 2007 to 2009.
Okay.
That time period in wrestling. Okay. You can do any time, but that's the time I'm going.
Okay. So you said '07, right?
Oh seven, oh nine, yeah, between then.
Okay. Um, I'm gonna have to say, '08 Jeff Hardy against probably I'd want to say AJ Styles.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm not mad at AJ Styles in any match,
Mm-hmm.
but oh wait, Hardy, that's strong, I think.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's the first thing I could thought of. Because when I think of the late 2010s or the late 2000s,
Mm,
I think of Jeff Hardy
it's a good pick.
because that whole run that he had, I mean, it's iconic.
That's a good pick.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I just want to stop by and say hi and help my brother over here.
Appreciate it.
So
Thank you very much.
mm-hmm. I'll be back in my back cave if you need anything.
Thank you very much. On your way out, do me a favor.
What's up?
Hit the W. I'll give you the honors.
It's turned off, dude.
It was off because I had sunlight, but now the sun's going down.
You have it turned off. There we go.
Boom. And with the lights being on, the event can officially begin. I appreciate that.
Man, I didn't get to catch it, man.
No, not this time.
Man. Okay. Well,
Ooh,
I'll be in the group chat, or I'll be in
The chat?
The chat.
Sounds
So,
good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Gianna Forever in the chat says Hardy versus Amazing Red. Shout out to Amazing Red, who I feel like doesn't get enough love. I mean, Amazing Red really never got the recognition because of the WWE. That he wasn't in the WWE, but his time in TNA and the X Division, I think, certainly goes without saying, very influential in terms of the high flying standard that the X Division was built on. So I would love to see that as well. With that being said, Amazing Red is a great segue into our opening contest. It is an Ultimate X matchup that will pit three men from NXT, dude, from TNA. I'm gonna get it right. Three men from TNA and three men from the WWE. The first three competitors that will be representing Total Nonstop Action will be Jay Lethal, a former X Division champion and a long stalwart of TNA, versus Petey Williams, the Canadian Destroyer. Truly an innovative move that everybody does nowadays, whether it's a Canadian Destroyer, a Mexican Destroyer, it doesn't matter. It's a fantastic move. I love the way it looks. Versus Low Key, also known as Kaval in WWE, also known as Senshi in TNA. Versus Gregory Helms, also known as Hurricane Helms, but I'm going specifically with Hurricane, or specifically Gregory Helms, the heel version of that character, versus Evan Air Bourne. If you were in the mid 2000s and you remember Evan Bourne, obviously also known as Matt Sydal, him in this Ultimate X match, I would super be interested in that. But the final name to round it all up in this Ultimate X match, with a bunch of high flyers, I had to include arguably the greatest high flyer of all time, and that's Rey Mysterio. So with the field looking like Jay Lethal, Petey Williams, Low Key, Gregory Helms, Evan Bourne, and Rey Mysterio, high flying action to get the night started, get the fans going, and really get them excited for the night. For me, it's all about pacing. You don't want to tire your fans up, but to start the night off with a high octane matchup like the Ultimate X, I don't think you can go wrong with that. Being that it is a TNA matchup, you would think that people like Petey Williams, like Low Key, like Jay Lethal would have the advantage, but I'm looking for someone that's a little bit more cunning, a little more conniving, someone that is easily kind of kept away in the shadows and sneaks out of victory, while we have guys like Rey Mysterio and Evan Airborne jumping and flying around their opponents. I'm going to go with Gregory Helms to steal the victory and essentially steal the X from TNA. I think this would be a great opportunity to showcase all six individuals, all legends in their own right. But for me, I've always had a soft spot for Hurricane Helms, so when he turned heel as Gregory Helms, I thought we could have done a lot more with him as a character. Of course, he became Gregory Helms, and as a heel, he was a Cruiserweight champion, but what would it have been like had he won the X Division title? Just something that I think would have been very interesting. Real quick here, I'm going to address Muhammad's question. It says, thoughts on Andrade returning to AEW Dynamite last night? Thought it was Jericho for a second. Andrade's return on Dynamite caught me and my brother by surprise. We were watching the show live on HBO Max, shout out. And to see the lights go out and have Kenny Omega following his trios matchup, and you see this figure come out with the mask, immediately the mask resembled what Andrade would always wear. It's just amazing to me how quick of a turnaround it was for Andrade to jump to AEW. This is a guy that was in WWE, went to AEW, went to WWE, and is now back in AEW, flip-flopping more than your own flip-flops on a summer night. I cannot believe that Andrade is back in AEW, and he's a part of the Don Callis family, no less. That family is like loaded with talent. And also they got the clone of Hologram involved as well. I thought it was a pleasant surprise. I can't believe it actually happened so quickly, but I'm looking forward to what will happen for Andrade in this second run in AEW. Shout out to the chat here as well. Muhammad and Sanfran also acknowledging that there's a lot of TNA wrestlers, legends who are now producers in the WWE. Reese, I see you, my friend. What's up? Glad you can be here on the stream. We're talking TNA versus the WWE. That was our opening contest, our second matchup here on the card. Let's go all out. We had an Ultimate X match to open up the show. Let's keep the good times rolling, and let's have a ball. Not just a ball, Monsters Ball. This is basically a hardcore matchup for Total Nonstop Action where they hold captive the competitors for about like 24 hours. Keep them caged. Don't feed them. Don't let them sleep in peace. That way when the match begins, we are taking on a full-on animalistic type of approach when it comes to competitor, completely changing the blueprint of what these stars are capable of doing. And with that being said, yes, with pun intended, I have the blueprint, Matt Morgan, representing TNA versus the Animal Batista. I think, and as I'm speaking about this, I think that this matchup truly would be special. I think you look at these two competitors, very similar in build, very similar in size. I think that when you have them two in the ring, we never really got to see it in the WWE. Obviously, Batista never faced off in TNA, so we would never see that matchup in general. But I think it would be a spectacular matchup. I'm going to go ahead and pick Batista to go over. Nothing against Matt Morgan, but with the Animal Batista as, arguably one of the biggest stars of the Ruthless Aggression era, how can you not have him go over? No, nothing but love for Matt Morgan, but Batista certainly is the one I would go with. Jennifer says, what's your thoughts on the TNA and NXT angle? I'm a fan of it. It's fresh, it's exciting, it's new. I do look at the Team NXT group, the 4-man group. I think it could be a little bit better. I like Miles Bourne, but I think we could have had maybe someone else on the team. Totally fine with Trick and Ricky representing as well. But I do look at Miles Bourne as like the outlier of it all. But I'm a fan of it. I'm looking forward to it. I like the Survivor Series matchups, which a little bit of hint of what will come on this event. Muhammad says he doesn't have a non-complete clause. No, because they full-on released him. Apparently, he had violated a few of the willingness program, so they just straight up let him go. And at that point, open season for Andrade. Our third match on the contest, we do have a tag team match. Kind of let the crowd settle in. We just had an amazing Monsters Ball matchup. Then we had an Ultimate X matchup. I'm going to go ahead and have a tag team matchup here. Kind of calm the crowd a little bit. Bring them in. There's a story to this one. Whereas the Monsters Ball matchup was just two forces beating each other. And then the Ultimate X match was an opportunity to have high-flying offense. I'm going to have a tag team matchup with stakes here. Not actual championship stakes, but pride. I'm going to have the tag team from TNA, Legends, Beer, Money. We're talking James Storm, Bobby Roode. These guys are looking for a good time and drinking while they are doing it. They're going to be taking on the tag team of Luke Gallows and CM Punk, the Straight Edge Society. Everything that Beer Money represents, this is what the Straight Edge Society detests. I'm also going to have some valets involved. I'm going to have Miss Jackie accompanying Beer Money, and I'm going to have Serena accompany the Straight Edge Society. I was really struggling to see where I could put CM Punk on this card, especially given the time period of 07 to 09. I love CM Punk. You guys know he's my favorite as of right now. Not my favorite of all time. He's my second favorite of all time. But to have him in a story enriched with Beer Money and all the stakes involved, how could I not pull the trigger on this? So I have Beer Money versus the Straight Edge Society. And I'm going to let Beer Money take this win here. They get the victory. They outsmart CM Punk. They manage to finagle Luke Gallows out of the situation. And unfortunately for the Second City Saint, he eats the pin. And as of right now, it's match 3. And the WWE leads 2-1. They have the winning of the Ultimate X matchup, Batista beating Matt Morgan, and of course, Beer Money beats Straight Society for the lone victory of TNA. Shout out to Gabs in the chat. Says, hello, everybody. Made it to my favorite pro wrestling channel. All love, Gabs. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. If you guys enjoyed the stream, make sure you give it a like, comment down below some of your questions, as well as your thoughts on the potential of a WWE versus TNA event, and share your own dream matches in the chat as well. I am also going to be uploading this as a video for other members of the community who maybe weren't able to attend this live stream. Of course, the live stream will always be available, but I'm going to have some fun in the editing process there. A little bit of an early live stream, so if you're here with us, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for joining us, and let me know what you guys think of the card so far as we go. It is a 2-night event. I have 13 matches on the card. We've gone through 3 already, so up next, our 4th matchup on the card actually was the last matchup that I had booked because I was just struggling to find out if I wanted this matchup. The individual that helped create Total Nonstop Action, his name is Jeff Jarrett. You guys know him. JEFFJARRETT, Jeff Jarrett. He, along with his father, they helped create TNA Wrestling, and they are, of course, a stalwart of the company. He is a multiple-time world champion in TNA. And I thought, you know what? Jeff Jarrett had a very tumultuous relationship with Mr. McMahon during his time in the WWE, often coming and going to the promotion and leaving the WCW before returning and then leaving again, and it says on and off again. But you know who has a better relationship with the McMahons? Paul Levesque, Triple H, who would go on to become a major player in the front office of the WWE. So we have 2 officemen, if you will, Jeff Jarrett versus Triple H in a singles matchup. I think it goes without saying Triple H goes over. I mean, I got no hate for Jeff Jarrett. I'm a fan of his. But Triple H is going to go over cleanly. So we have Triple H defeating Jeff Jarrett. San Francisco said, we all know the best dream match would be Paul Burchill versus Shark Boy. Shout out to Shark Boy. What a fever dream Shark Boy was. Jennifer versus Jeff and Jerry. Jarrett versus Vince and Shane. That's a solid... Hey, I'm not mad at that at all. I just don't want to see Jerry Jarrett in a match. Vince and Shane can be at least entertaining. I don't know how good Jerry Jarrett would have been in a matchup there. You could argue someone else in their position. You could even argue... I'm not changing. I got Triple H going over Jeff Jarrett. You could have had a mixed tag there. Jeff and Karen versus Hunter and Steph. But I don't need that. I don't need Karen and Steph in a match together. We've gone through 4 matches on the card. Now it's time to get serious. There are only 3 matches left on night 1. And the third to last matchup here. No stakes. Just full-on grabs. Representing Total Nonstop Action, a former WWE legend in his own right, Kurt Angle. If you guys have seen TNA Kurt Angle, he was on another level. Peak Angle truly was at the peak of his powers in TNA. Moonsaults, somersaults, dives, the yelling, you know the meme. Kurt Angle was another monster in TNA. So, in order to face off against Kurt Angle, I wanted someone that had credibility. I wanted someone that is a legend in his own right, but was the total opposite of Kurt Angle at this point. Kurt Angle, balls to the walls. This guy did not care. No limits for Kurt Angle. So we're going to have him face off against someone that decided to limit his personality. That really wanted to build up some walls, only to have them torn down. Chris Jericho, during this time, had a wonderful heel turn that established him as one of the top guys in the business. The way he presented himself with the suits, the mannerisms, the promos, really seemed like a main event player for the first time in a long time. It catapulted him to the main event picture, and to this day, it is looked back upon as one of the best periods in his career. Chris Jericho versus Kurt Angle may have already happened in the Attitude Era, even a little bit of the Ruthless Aggression era, but we never got to see this heel Jericho versus peak Kurt Angle. It's a matchup that I would give them 30 minutes. Back and forth technician, technical wrestling, but even a high flying offense from Kurt Angle that we had not seen in the WWE. Going back and forth, trading the walls of Jericho, the Lion Tamer, the Lion Salt. Then you have Kurt Angle with his patented moonsault, the Angle Slam, the ankle lock. It's a matchup that I'm sure, given the proper amount of time, would have stole the show. It very much would steal night one, but the one that would get the victory. Imagine this. It's a breakdown. They've been going on for at least 25 minutes now, trading blows, but finally, Kurt Angle slips. Chris Jericho catches him in the walls of Jericho, and he's trying to really wrench it in, trying to pull back, allowing Kurt Angle to nearly scratch and claw for the ropes. Kurt Angle's never been put in this position, at least in TNA. Peak Angle is about to submit, and as he's reaching for the bottom rope, Chris Jericho inches and inches and digs deep and pulls him back into the center of the ring. The crowd's now deflated. They're thinking, no, Kurt Angle, he's going to tap out. Either he's going to tap out or he's going to pass out. But instead, Kurt Angle, like a wild, manic individual that he was back then, somehow manages to kind of flip himself, roll himself through, grabs Chris Jericho's ankle, and immediately starts to wrench on that ankle with the ankle lock. He finally has himself in an upright position, standing over the tortured body of Chris Jericho, and finally he wraps his leg around the legs of Chris Jericho and just lies down and has it torque. And finally, Chris Jericho has no other option but to submit, giving Kurt Angle and TNA the much needed victory. I think it's a matchup that definitely would have surpassed a lot of people's expectations, and as of right now on the card, it is 3-2 in favor of the WWE. Sanford says, who was the GM for TNA? I mean, they had a few different authority figures. Jim Cornette was an authority figure. We know Bruce Pritchard was also one. Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff. Really, who's who. Dixie Carter for the longest was their on-air authority figure, even though they were behind the scenes as well. Muhammad says, speaking of Jericho, today marks 35 years of his professional debut in wrestling alongside Lance Storm. Shout out to Lance Storm and Jericho. Two of the best Canadian wrestlers the game has ever seen. Also an underrated star of Lance Storm. So love the shout out there. Thank you, Muhammad. The second to last matchup. Match 6 out of 7 for the night 1 event of TNA versus WWE. I was inspired by the NXT event, Showdown, that I refer to as Invasion. They have a Survivor Series like tag team matchup. We're going to do the same thing. 5 men. 5, I was going to say women, but 5 men from TNA, 5 men from the WWE. And it was very fun, kind of drafting teams here. I had this matchup in mind because of who was involved. I feel there's a lot of intersecting storylines that involve these 10 individuals representing total nonstop action. Team Captain, Captain Charisma, Christian Cage. I think one of the best stars to have ever made it to TNA, jumping from WWE and solidifying himself as a true main eventer. To this day, I don't think Christian Cage is appreciated enough for his work. His recent work as the Patriarch in AEW is some of his best work, and I think the older he gets, the better he is becoming in terms of his legacy. The longer he goes, it's only positively influencing his legacy. Shout out to Christian Cage leading Team TNA. And on that Team TNA, we have a fellow Canadian, a guy who's been there since essentially day one and is a real TNA original, Eric Young. Of course, he was also in NXT as a member of Sanity, but EY has become such a fixture of TNA, still to this day, is a part of the roster. And you think about what he's done in that company, whether it's the X Division, whether it's his tag team with ODB, whether it was winning the World Championship in 2014. Eric Young, to me, is a hardcore TNA guy. And even though he was in WWE for like a quick cup of coffee, to me, he'll always represent total nonstop action. So we have those two individuals on Team TNA. Also joined by them is someone who's a little familiar with Christian Cage, as their time in WWE was a little brief but still there, and that's Rhino, the Man Beast, the former ECW champion, the man from Detroit. And speaking of ECW, rounding out Team TNA, Christian Cage, Eric Young, Rhino, Team 3D. Brother Devon and Brother Ray, also Bully Ray, or Bubba Ray and Devon Dudley, however you know them. Team 3D rounds out the group here on Team TNA. And they're scheduled to go up against 5 of the WWE's men and their team captain, Edge. I couldn't resist it. Edge and Christian, this time on opposite sides. Edge representing the WWE, who was a lifer at that point. Of course, he left to go to AEW, but this was before that. In our fictional world, Edge is the team captain. And on his side, I actually have Rob Van Dam, who, yes, is an ECW original, but given the history between RVD, and on the flip side, of course, the Dudleys, but Rhino, I wanted someone to combat against Rhino, and Rhino has a history with RVD, as he was the individual that had injured Rob Van Dam when he was the TV champion, and had to relinquish the championship due to injury, where he held the championship for like 800 days. That's mind-blowing back then. Had a rivalry, had a real intense rivalry between the two. Let's revisit it here on this night. So we have Edge and Rob Van Dam. I also have R-Truth. R-Truth might seem like an outlier. Like, wow, why does he have R-Truth here? R-Truth in the WWE is one of the most compelling and entertaining stars that Vince McMahon has ever had on his roster. But before that, he's a former NWA World Champion in total nonstop action as Ron Killings. And I think, how fun would it be to have R-Truth on Team WWE saying like, hey, I was your world champion, and now I'm over here making the big money in New York and representing the WWE. I've surpassed this TNA roster. I'm in the WWE. And I think R-Truth would really shine as he reverts back to his Ron Killings persona. So again, Edge, Rob Van Dam, Ron the Truth Killings, and I had Team 3D on TNA. So you know I have to go with Matt and Jeff, the Hardys, on Team WWE. Our fields are set. Team TNA, captained by Christian Cage, with Rhino, Eric Young, and the Dudleys, versus Edge, RVD. We also have Ron the Truth Killings and the Hardy Boys. I am really excited to see this matchup. I'm acting like it's real. It's fantasy warfare, but this is how the eliminations would go. We're going to start the match off here. R-Truth takes charge. Naturally, he's still in his comedic role. He's still trying to be funny. He says, you know what, guys? I got this. I was a world champion. I'll take care of this. He goes one-on-one with Brother Ray. Bubba Ray, if you will. Who's no nonsense. This guy's repping TNA. They have a little bit of back and forth. R-Truth gets good offense, demonstrating why he was a world champion for some point. But then Brother Devon gets involved when the referee is not looking, kind of cheap shots him in a way. And that leads to a quick elimination of R-Truth. I love R-Truth. Don't get me wrong. But we still have to also keep in mind, with a little bit of realism, he was a comedy character at this point. I'm going to have him in that matchup for maybe at most 2 to 3 minutes. Again, nothing but love for Truth. But I'm trying to also be realistic in this approach. After a little bit of back and forth, we have, tags coming in and out. We see guys like Aaron Young get in there. I have RVD jumping in there essentially. And then RVD, who is getting their hands on Eric Young. Little friendly banter between the two good baby faces, but Edge wants in. He wants to show RVD, stop lollygagging, stop messing with the enemy. He gets in, tag, spears Eric Young, bye-bye EY. Now that we have R-Truth and Eric Young out of the picture, it's 4-on-4. We have a little bit of a back and forth. Edge is now facing off against the Rhino. They have a history there. WrestleMania 17, Rhino helped out with helping Edge and Christian win the ladder match. They have a back and forth there. Edge gets tagged out. We get a little bit of Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, if you will. They can't contain him. Nobody can take down the Rhino until finally Jeff Hardy tags in Rob Van Dam. These guys go back. I talked about the history in ECW where Rob Van Dam was the long-tenured television champion that would have to relinquish that title because of an injury sustained by an attack by Rhino. We have a good solid back and forth between these two. Rhino kind of starts to teeter, kind of starts to lose his momentum against RVD. RVD hits the 5-star frog splash to no avail. Rhino powers out, gores Rob Van Dam, and eliminates him 1, 2, 3. RVD can still not get the better of Rhino. So now let's reset. On Team TNA, we have Christian Cage, Rhino, and both members of Team 3D. In the WWE, we have Edge, we have both the Hardys. TNA has the advantage. So now, Rhino, building up steam here, dispatches of RVD. The Hardys are trying to get at him. They still can't. Edge, again, blind tags Matt Hardy, saying, "What are you doing? Lock in." We see a little bit of tension between Matt Hardy and Edge. They have a personal history as well. Check out their feud in 2005 over Lita. Edge goes back and forth with Rhino. Rhino gets the upper hand, sends Edge out of the mat. Keep in mind, Edge is the legal man. The Hardys now battling off Team 3D. Rhino battles off the Hardys. When he's not looking, Edge sneaks back into the ring, surprises him with his own spear, pins Rhino 1, 2, 3. Rhino is eliminated by the Rated R superstar Edge. Team 3D comes into the ring. Obviously, they see they're losing their men. Rhino's out of the picture. Team 3D now getting the upper hand on Edge. Edge immediately can't take the heat, tags out, brings in Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy, with the help of Matt Hardy against the Dudleys, they have a little moment there reminiscent of their tables matchup at Royal Rumble 2000. Shout out to Bound for Glory, which is just around the corner. We have Jeff Hardy finally hitting a Swanton Bomb. Brother Devon eliminated from the matchup. Following that, Jeff Hardy, after he hits this move, after he hits the Swanton, he gets the pin. Christian Cage sneaks back into the ring, hits a kill switch. 1, 2, 3. Jeff quickly eliminated. So now we are down to Brother Ray, Matt Hardy, Edge, Christian Cage on TNA. So now it's a full-on 2-on-2. Brother Ray is in the matchup. Matt Hardy comes in following Jeff's elimination. And Matt Hardy and Brother Ray, they have a moment there. Long story short, Bubba Ray gets eliminated by Matt Hardy. So now we're down to Matt and Edge versus Christian Cage. There's a moment in the ring. Christian looks at him. Christian looks over to his best friend, brother, depending on what story you're looking at. Edge, like, you're siding with him? After everything that you guys have been through, you're going to side with him over me. Christian trying to manipulate Edge, trying to get in his head. And Matt Hardy looks at him tense because they still had that scuffle early on. And he brushes it off. He says, "I have my problems with you, Edge." But he doesn't say Edge. He says, "I have my problems with you, Adam. But let's take care of him first." And as Matt Hardy takes the first couple of steps towards Christian, Edge swings him around, hits him with the execution, a version of the DDT, and leaves him for Christian Cage to pin. And Cage pins Matt Hardy with the help of Edge. Now it's 1-on-1. Christian Cage versus Edge. The two captains. I would not have it any other way. These guys go on for like another 5 minutes back and forth. They know each other so well. They're close, like a lot of brothers, essentially. But in the end, Edge gets the victory over Christian Cage, gets the victory for Team WWE in a matchup that probably takes place, maybe 21 to 25 minutes. I think it's a pretty decent length of a matchup here. And so as of right now, 6 matches are on the card, and the WWE is leading, 4-2 at this point. TNA is starting to slip, so they need to come back strong, and we'll see how strong they can come back in this main event. But before we get to that main event, I want to shout out here to Gabs. Gabs has been a member of the Main Event Mafia for 8 months. It says wrestling and Thursday Night Football. It doesn't get better than that. Amen to that, Gabs. Appreciate that as well. I love Thursday Night Football. As you guys may have guessed, I mean, come on. San Francisco will be playing today against the LA Rams. Right now, we're not looking too good. A lot of the injuries are preventing us from our full potential. But even then, with a lot of injuries, we're 3-1. I'm not very optimistic about this game. I'm gonna tell you that right now. But if we can squeeze out a victory here, you will not hear me complain. So again, this is before the game. Hopefully, by the time this game is over, we're 4-1. Make sure you guys remind me in the comments below Hopefully we beat the Rams, even though we're kind of short-handed tonight. But nonetheless, I appreciate you, Gaps. Thank you for joining us on today's stream. So finally, the WWE has a 4-2 lead on TNA, and in the main event, two individuals that I think perfectly epitomize their respective companies. But two individuals who actually go back, way back. We're talking the year 99, 2000, UPW out in California. These two up-and-coming stars wanted to break into the business and see what they could achieve. And over the course of these last 25 years, have become history makers, record breakers, some of them considered even the greatest of all time. Representing TNA, I have Samoa Joe taking on John Cena. A matchup that we have never seen. A matchup that I would love to see. I know a lot of people probably would have had AJ Styles versus John Cena in this position, but we've seen that match. And I love that matchup. And I'm going to love Crown Jewel when those two go head to head. But Samoa Joe versus John Cena is a matchup that I would have loved to have seen. John Cena has had great matches against giants in the past. Umaga. He's also had matches against the Great Khali. Not his best match, but it was the Great Khali's best match in my opinion. Also matches against the Big Show. But for the booking purposes of this show, I have this matchup kind of reminiscent of the Last Man Standing matchup between Umaga and John Cena. Just an overpowering force Samoan onto John Cena. A lot of back and forth. I have a lot of color in this matchup. But being that this is 2007 to 2009 John Cena, he's going over. He's going over. Love Samoa Joe. But I think John Cena takes the win 5-2 in favor of the WWE. And that brings us to night 2. Night 2, we're going to open up Last Man Standing. Typically, this individual would have been in Monsters Ball. But I feel like that would have been a little bit of favoritism, a little bit of home field advantage, and let's spice it up a bit. Last Man Standing, Abyss versus Kane. I mean, this is a layup. This matchup has to happen. Two parallel universes saw an individual like Abyss and Kane. I think these two are tailor-made to have a brawl. Would it be a great matchup? That is up for a debate. However, I think the promos and the lead-up to it would be fantastic. Imagine seeing Kane, the 2004 version. I know I'm booking 2008, 2009. But still, he can kind of revert back to that more monstrous version of his character. Against Abyss, a tortured soul like Joseph Park, I would love to see this matchup between these two. I think it would be a back and forth event. Again, opening the night hot, getting the crowd invested, maybe a little color in the first matchup here. But I think I'm going to go with Abyss to take the victory. Kane's a legend. He's going to be fine. But Abyss takes this victory. And it gives TNA a 3-5 record against the WWE. The second match of night 2 will have Christopher Daniels, the Fallen Angel, against Randy Orton. Randy Orton at this point was a monster of a heel, pulling dastardly deeds unlike no one else, punting the boss, RKOing the boss's daughter, and planting a good old smooch on her while her husband is watching. Randy Orton versus Christopher Daniels has potential to be a great matchup, but I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm booking this matchup for the finish. I want to see Christopher Daniels hit the prettiest moonsault ever. And mid-air, I want Randy to pop up and give him that RKO in mid-air. I know he can do it. Especially at this point in time, he's hitting that. Randy Orton hits it out of nowhere, as Randy only does. Gets the victory. Randy goes over. By my count, what is that? That's 6-3 in favor of the WWE. Still a heavy lead for the WWE. TNA needs to make a run here. And speaking of runs, there has been no company that has been on such a run in terms of women's wrestling like the Knockouts division. So like the men had a 5-on-5 elimination matchup, the women have a 5-on-5 elimination matchup. I think it was very difficult to not have a singles match for the women. I wanted to, But I thought there's a story to be told here for a 5-on-5 and having the locker rooms go up against one another. Representing TNA, I have the beautiful people, Velvet Sky, Angelina Love, who will also be going into the Hall of Fame this year for TNA, accompanied by ODB, Gail Kim, and Awesome Kong. 5 influential women on the roster, 5 legends in their own right, representing total nonstop action. They're going to be going up against the WWE Divas. Keep in mind, they were still Divas in this time period. So it's Knockouts versus Divas. And then Team WWE. Lay Cool, Michelle McCool, Layla, who a lot of people look at as a carbon copy of the Beautiful People. That debate is up there. I think the similarities are there. But Lay Cool also teaming up with Kelly Kelly, who kind of counter sets against ODB, as those two are like polar opposites. I would love to see that interaction. And finally, the 2 final members on the team would be the Divas of Doom, Natalya and Beth Phoenix. I love both teams. It was very fun being able to construct these teams. So again, for a refresher, Team TNA, Team Knockouts, the Beautiful Peoples, Velvet Sky, and Angelina Love, teaming up with ODB, Awesome Kong, and Gail Kim versus Lay Cool, Kelly Kelly, and Natalya and Beth Phoenix. We start the match up here. Layla is in the ring, getting hyped up by Michelle McCool, saying, "We got this, right?" You know, they're confident. There's no reason for them not to be confident. They're WWE superstars. If anybody's a carbon copy of anybody, the Beautiful People are a carbon copy of Lay. And just as she's in the middle of talking with Michelle McCool, we have Velvet Sky come in, give a good old roll up, pins Layla. She's gone in seconds. Kind of similar to the R-Truth thing, but in a lot less time. Velvet Sky successfully eliminates Layla. Immediately, she goes back to her corner. She celebrates. Angelina Love and her, they're laughing. They're having a good time. Michelle McCool comes through. Big boot. Knocks out Angelina Love. Knocks out Velvet Sky. Pins her. We're even. Velvet Sky and Layla are gone. Real quick, we're establishing, boom, these women are not playing this matchup. At any moment, someone could be eliminated. The stakes are high because everyone's been talking. They've been saying how the TNA locker room has better women. The Knockouts division is better wrestlers than the WWE. They have a lot at stake here. They have to prove their ground. They have to prove that, hey, just because you guys are knockouts doesn't mean you're not as tough as us. And the WWE Divas are here to play. Layla and Velvet Sky immediately gone. Casualties of war. So they're gone. We have a little bit of a moment here. Michelle McCool in the ring has a face-off against Gail Kim, who was there for a cup of coffee in the WWE. They have a little bit of a showcase there, showing off their athleticism and their wrestling ability. But Gail Kim gets immediately blind tag Awesome Kong. Those two have a history. Awesome Kong and Gail Kim are meant to do battle for all of eternity. And she looks over at Gail Kim and basically gives her this look of get out. Get out of this ring. Gail Kim gets out of the ring reluctantly. Says, okay, fine. Okay. Awesome Kong gets in the ring. And Michelle McCool immediately, I don't want no part of this. Kind of backs off, tags out, gets Kelly Kelly in the ring. Kelly Kelly looks like Awesome Kong and is like shaking in her boots. You know what I mean? Like she's like gulping at the sight of Awesome Kong. But you know what? With a smile on her face, reluctantly, she tries to fight off Awesome Kong. Awesome Kong immediately knocks off Kelly Kelly. She doesn't eliminate her just yet, but like dispatches her to the point where now Natalya, Beth, the breakdown happens. Everyone comes out of the ring. They're fighting in the ring, out of the ring. Everything dispels. Kelly Kelly and Awesome Kong are now left in the ring alone, except Awesome Kong is still kind of fighting off Beth and Natalya. So here comes Michelle McCool tagging herself in, trying to be the hero and eliminate Awesome Kong, but Awesome Kong isn't playing those games. She eliminates Michelle McCool. So Michelle McCool is already eliminated. Kelly Kelly is the next person up, and Awesome Kong says, you know what, I've had enough. I'm going to take a break. And she tags ODB. ODB picks up the scraps and looks at her and says, okay. Pins Kelly Kelly after a little bit there. Kelly Kelly's eliminated. So now, again, to regroup. Team TNA has Angelina Love, Awesome Kong, Gail Kim, and ODB. Team WWE, they have the Divas of Doom at this point. Natalya and Beth Phoenix are the only ones left. So now it's a 4-on-2 affair. And now it's like, okay, these two look at each other and they're thinking, okay, hey, if I'm going to be left alone to do battle with one person, I'm glad it's you. Natalya and Beth Phoenix tying up their boots, clench their jaws, and they're going for it. We have Angelina Love versus Beth Phoenix early on. These two are doing battle. We've never seen it, never seen it before, never will see it again. Beth Phoenix eliminates Angelina Love. After that, ODB gets in the ring. Natty at some point tags in. They have a square off. Natty makes ODB tap out. So now it's 2-on-2. Gail Kim and Awesome Kong, who have beef. Natalya and Beth Phoenix, who are best friends. We got a good showdown here. Give these ladies like the last 10 minutes of the matchup here. But at some point, Phoenix ends up getting overpowered by Awesome Kong. It's just too much. Awesome Kong takes out Beth Phoenix. So now it's a 2-on-1 with Kong and Kim versus Natalya. I would love to see Natalya versus Gail Kim. Fun fact for people watching the stream right now, I would have had Gail Kim versus Natalya 1-on-1, but it was a little bit of a struggle to figure out the rest of the participants here in this matchup, so I said let's put them in here in a feature spot. So Natalya and Kim, they go at it. Awesome Kong wants back in, but Kim's like, no, you had your moment. And so Kim beats Natalya, pins her, gets the win for Team TNA, and looks over at Awesome Kong like, we're not finished. I know we were partners here today. I got the victory for us. We're not finished. Team TNA gets the victory here, trying to regain a little bit of momentum. They're still falling behind, but they're still trying to climb out of this hole. 3 matches are left in night 2. This next matchup, could be a main event on any night. But I just couldn't see Cena and Samoa Joe not being a main event. And obviously night 2's main event we'll get to. This to me was really the second matchup. The second matchup I had booked on the show. Nobody represented total nonstop action more than AJ Styles. The phenomenal one. Won the X Division Championship, the tag titles, the world titles. This guy is Mr. TNA. And he's been the most phenomenal wrestler in the business. But he needs to know. He needs to know just how phenomenal he is. He needs to know if he is that damn good. So it's him versus Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels, widely regarded as one of the greatest of all time. Widely regarded by not only his peers, by critics, by fans. People outside of the business, I think, would even mention him as a member of one of the GOATs. Shawn Michaels and AJ Styles, again, similar to Jericho and Kurt Angle, give them 30 minutes. You give them enough time, they'll have the match of the year. Shawn Michaels, at a point in his career, has really established himself as a worker. Like a worker's worker, to the point where he doesn't have to win and lose. It doesn't matter. He's going to put on a great show. And a great show they put on. A phenomenal show-stopping match between two of the all-time greatest. And I got AJ going over. I think Shawn Michaels would have no problem putting over AJ Styles. And what an honor it would be for the phenomenal one to beat Shawn on this stage. AJ gets a convincing victory over Shawn Michaels. And again, inches closer and closer to, winning the night, essentially. As of right now, the record stands. Let me see. 6-5. 6-5 in favor of the WWE. There's only 2 matches left. In the penultimate matchup, the second to last matchup, I got a ladder match. My favorite stipulation. Not just a ladder match, though. 4 teams involved. Representing TNA, LAX, Homicide, and Hernandez. Versus the Motor City Machine Guns, Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley. Versus Carlito and Primo, the Colognes, who, again, popular tag team during this time period. Keep in mind, we're running from 2007 to 2009. And to round out the participants, I got Paul London and Brian Kendrick, an underrated tag team. If you guys have seen Paul London and Brian Kendrick during this time period, man, think of Fraxium, but back in the day. I would love to see a Fraxium versus London and Kendrick matchup, but without saying too much, because it's a ladder match, you guys already know the typical spots that transpire during this matchup. I got Paul London and Brian Kendrick going over. They win this matchup. So it's now 7-5. Mathematically, TNA has lost the event. There's no point of them, even doing this last matchup. They've already lost. 7-5 is the record, with London and Kendrick winning this latter match. But now we have the main event. The very main event, in which this whole stream is dedicated to. A dream match of dream matches. There are two individuals that are absent from this entire card. Glaringly apparent, I think. They are representing their respective companies. They have come to a point where they are legends in this business, not only for fans within, but of mainstream audiences that may not even be as diehard fans as you and I. Representing TNA, the Icon, Sting. Representing the WWE, the Phenom, the Undertaker. A match we have never seen. A match we will never see. One-on-one. For the first time and the last time. Two iconic figures in pro wrestling. We just had a ladder match that, of course, is going to get the people going, but I think we can calm them down by the time we get to this main event, because the Undertaker has a long entrance. Sting's aura is very ominous. They finally get into the ring. The lights come on because Taker had just had his entrance. They step up to one another and they look at each other, Rock Hogan style. They look at each other, they look to the side, they look at each other, they look to the other side. And they realize they're in a moment in time. Never before, never again. Taker versus Sting. This is everything that I would want. Taker and Sting shake hands because they recognize how significant this moment is. Taker and Sting, they start to exchange blows. They start punching each other. One after the other, trying to get the upper hand. They realize no one's backing down. Until finally, they both look at each other and then they run off to the ring. Run off to the ropes. Bounce. Sting hits that shoulder bump on Taker, doesn't move. Taker moves, hits that shoulder bump on Sting, doesn't move. Until finally, they both run. They both are going to collide. Taker ducks down, lets Sting fly over. He knows Sting likes the Stinger splash, but Taker, he's a phenom. He's a legend. He knows. He's seen this. Taker gets the first upper hand on Sting. Goes over to Sting, starts working him in the corner. The best pure striker in pro wrestling. Gives him the good old work. Gives him the punches. Starts to really assert his dominance over Sting. The referee counting him in the corner. 1, 2, 3. Taker immediately whips back. Looks at the referee with his intimidating eyes as if, back off, I got this. And now we set the tone for the matchup. Taker has never been in the matchup with Sting here. But keep in mind, when he broke in WCW way back in the late 80s and early 90s, it was Sting's company at that point. He was the next star. So he's been waiting for this long to face off against the Icon. And recognizes, this is my yard. I am not only the conscience of the WWE, I am the conscience of professional wrestling. Sting is the Icon. He knows he's the baby face of the matchup. Starts to build back a little momentum. Gets his comeback going. Taker, caught off guard by Sting. Hits a Stinger splash. Taker comes back up, moves to another corner, hits another Stinger splash, and then finally a third Stinger splash. He goes for the pin. Taker kicks out at 1. Taker's not going to go down that easy. Taker's not going down that easy. The matchup progresses. We see Sting get taken out of the ring by Taker. Taker goes for the air dead man. He hits it. He connects. Everything's going well for Taker. It's proven right. They go back into the ring. Taker choke slam to Sting. Goes for a pin. 1, 2. Sting kicks out. Taker says, okay, fine. He knows it's not going to be an easy matchup. He's not going to go down. So he puts him in the Hell's Gate. Taker, with the Hell's Gate on, tries to make Sting pass out, but Sting, again, resilient as ever, slides over to the side, grabs the rope break. Taker says, okay, I get it. You're one of the best. They keep going. Taker gets the shoulder, goes for old school, hits old school. Sting working the shoulder, really feeling it. Later in the matchup, this comes back up because he tries to hit the Scorpion Death Drop, but his shoulders hurt. It's not the same. He tries to go for his finish, the submission. He can't hold it. His shoulder's not up. It's hurting still. Over time, Taker is decimating that shoulder, little by little, really working it, until finally, Sting hits the Stinger Death Drop, goes for the pin. Except this is when The Undertaker gets him in the Hell's Gate. Sting is decimated. I mean, the paint is all off of his face. This matchup is going for like 25 minutes, by the way. I think it's a sweet spot for a lot of these iconic matches. So keep in mind, there's a lot of stuff I'm not telling you, but these are like the main plot points. Sting is finally in the Hell's Gate, and just as he's beginning to fight off The Undertaker, he's fighting off The Undertaker. He just can't keep up with him. He starts to fade. He starts to pass out a little bit. He's realizing, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm fighting for my life. And Taker squeezes even more because he recognizes this is it. This is the last man I have to beat. Taker has beaten the likes of Triple H, The Rock, Austin. He's beaten John Cena. He's beaten Hulk Hogan. He's beaten all these legends. He has never beaten Sting. And he's now moments away from Sting tapping out or passing out to his Hell's Gate. Sting then finds it within himself to never give up, leans up, grabs The Undertaker in a position, still in the Hell's Gate, but leans him on his shoulders. So now it's either Taker has to let go of Hell's Gate or he's about to get pinned. It's 1, it's 2, and just as Taker is about to let go of the Hell's Gate, the referee hits 3. The winner, Sting, beats The Undertaker. And The Undertaker is left speechless on the mat. Sting passed out, essentially, at the last second of that pinfall. Sting passed out, but The Undertaker is now on his back looking up thinking, wow, I just lost to Sting. And there's a moment there where he sits up and he's just looking at Sting, a passed out Sting. And there's a moment in the audience where it's quiet and they're thinking what's going to happen, because Taker was displaying a lot of heelish tendencies during this matchup. And it goes over to Sting. He lifts up Sting, and everyone's thinking, oh my god, what is he going to do? Sting coming to, looks at Taker. Taker looks at the crowd, looks at Sting, and he shakes his hand in a moment of respect and recognizes that Sting is always going to be the icon. The Undertaker is always going to be the phenom. And he was moments away from making history by beating Sting. But he realizes, you know what? You were the better man that night. And he shakes Sting's hand. WWE may have won the evening from a record of 7-6. WWE wins. But Sting pins The Undertaker in a moment that I think everybody would remember. And that's how I would book the super event TNA versus WWE, our Invasion pay-per-view. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure you give it a like, comment down below. What are some of your dream matches for TNA versus WWE? What was your favorite matchup on this card? As well as make sure you subscribe to the channel and keep up to date with all things pro wrestling, and make sure you subscribe so you can also be a part of the stream. You can't be a part of the chat if you're not subscribed. Again, I want to hear from you guys. I appreciate you guys for joining us on today's live stream. I'm going to look at some of these comments here as we begin to unwind the stream. Muhammad says, over the last several years, only Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes are the only two wrestlers that defeated Brock Lesnar. Two wonderful talents in Drew and Cody, sharing a distinction. I like both of them over Brock Lesnar, but it is a fun little fact there. Johnny says, do you like Roman Reigns coming back? You know what? Roman Reigns is great. I love Roman Reigns, but his returns are like, it's always a return. He's always gone and comes back, on and come back. So I wasn't like really like, oh my god, it's Roman Reigns, because it's like, it's another return, you know. Cool though. I like Roman. Shout out to LJ there. I see you. Says, guess who's back? How you doing, LJ? Glad you could be with us and join us on today's stream. Talked a little bit about TNA versus WWE. I'm hoping that you guys enjoyed it. Again, if you did like the stream, like the video, you guys know all the gimmicks on YouTube. It would not be possible without your guys' support. I'll give you guys another couple moments here to ask any questions or comments before we end up closing the stream. Something a little bit different. It's a little earlier stream for people here on YouTube, with reason, of course. But if you haven't seen the early portion of the stream, you can always go back and check out the entirety of it. Have you been? I've been good. I've been real good, LJ. Thank you. You know, been working, the day job, of course, and watching pro wrestling, watching pro football, movies. You know, spending time with the family. Right now, I can honestly say has been like the most balanced my life has been in quite some time. You know, there's been a lot of ups, been a lot of downs. Of course, that's the nature of the beast of the thing we call life. But in this moment, I think I'm at like a certain level of peace that a younger version of me would have aspired to reach. And in a word, I'm pretty content. I'm pretty content right now. So I appreciate the question, LJ. I hope you're doing well as well, my friend, and I thank you for being here. LJ took the words right out of my mouth. Says I hate Brock Lesnar. I think hate's a very strong word. I'm not a very big Brock Lesnar fan. You know, he's had great matches. Don't get me wrong, but at this point in his career, I'm just, you know, I'm indifferent. I only want to see him in two matches: Brock Lesnar versus Gunther, Brock Lesnar versus Braun Breaker. If it's not those two matches, it's like, I guess, you know. But I don't hate. That's a strong word. There's very few times I would use the word hate. I'm just indifferent, apathetic, if you will. We're going to go ahead and start closing down the stream. I want to thank you guys for joining us in today's video talking about TNA versus WWE in this historic super event. Let me know down below what was your favorite matchup on my card and what is your dream TNA versus WWE event. As always, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to stay up to date with all things pro wrestling. And of course, my name is Jose Ramos Jr. Thanking you for joining us here today. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one.